What's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're taking a look at the total market cap of all of cryptocurrency, and well, we've got ourselves another red day. And boy, I know how these days feel. I'm very aware of where this market is at and how long we've been down here in this extreme fear. So the longer this ticks on, every hour that it ticks on, the harder and harder it gets on everybody. I saw King Solomon post this over here on Twitter, and no, I hear you, man. In the end, Bitcoin had a little bit of a breakdown right over here, which has taken the rest of the market with it, of course, causing even more fear, more panic, and more worry, right? But I have to stick with what I see going on in the market. My expectations are that this price level is going to hold. We've looked at the inverse structures of Bitcoin to say, hey, you know what? In a large move structure or in an inverse style of crashing structure, this level should hold down in here, going on to set one new high, and then that being it. But you know what? This is obviously incredibly painful. I'm very aware, especially at over 3 weeks of this. This isn't my first rodeo going through something like this. There's a lot of viewers of this channel who have been through the extreme fear moments. We've been through several of them before, and sometimes they can be prolonged and go a long time. And it was something I tried to talk about when we were in the extreme greed for so long, that this market typically isn't in greed. It spends way more time in fear and in extreme fear. And it's getting through these types of moments that's helped me get all the way up in here. So looking at the total market cap of crypto, in yesterday's video, we're talking about hopefully within the next week or so, we see some type of move that pulls us out to here. And then we can expect a couple more weeks of absolute boredom, torture, and all that stuff, but really looking for that first breakout to get us to another price level higher. We've been looking back at previous charts and structures to say, hey, when we have this type of sell-off and we see this type of accumulation showing up in here, what does it look like when we finally get our way out of here? And one of those things that we've compared this total market cap to is to the Litecoin price chart that took place back in 2017, and how the total market cap of all of crypto reached out to a perfect 4.236 Fibonacci extension based on the rally prior to capitulation back in 2018. Which was something that we referenced back to over here on the Litecoin chart, taking a look at this really through all of the end of 2020 and in here in 2021, that we had a very similar thing happen with the rally prior to capitulation, reaching out to the full 4.236. So this is something we studied for a long time before we ended up getting this to show up here on this chart. But obviously over here on Litecoin, that was not the end of the bull run. That was a major step back, going there from about $90 all the way back down to $35. Large knockback, huge percentage, about 60%, but it did end up recovering. So we've been really kind of taking a look over here to see what does this recovery look like, and are we performing anything similar to that right now over here in the market of cryptocurrency, or the entire market cap. Let's zoom in on it a little bit, take a look closer at this structure, as it does show extreme similarities to what we're doing right now in the market cap of crypto. Litecoin had a strong bounce off the bottom, and then it had to accumulate here a few times. But really the suspicion has been that we've been in here at this point for these last couple of days, working our way through in here, which would be this right in here, kind of finishing off this accumulation before we move our way up to the next level. And do we see anything happening here in this structure right here, finishing off this area before moving to the upside? That's similar to what happened in Litecoin back in here during this accumulation. And I do see similarities in here. We can kind of just draw them out, right? We can see how many waves we had coming down. We had one wave down, one wave up, one wave down that did come down below this level, with another wave up and a wave down. So really just kind of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is precisely what we have going on here currently. We have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same thing as Litecoin, same thing on the market cap, in the same area of the structure, still maintaining this low over here, just like Litecoin did, maintaining that low over there. But we can look at it, we can see that was a scary moment that came in right there at the very end. Hey, we've got ourselves a nice scary move happening right here at the end. So we'll zoom in on that again one more time, kind of look at how that really kind of ended up, and see there on Litecoin, really the same thing. Now, the big thing, of course, is that, well, Bitcoin has been controlling this market, and it really always has controlled this market. So is it feasible that this level could hold? Is there anything else there that could tell us that it could hold, besides all of the other things that we've looked at over the last week and a half? Well, one of the things I remember when the bottom of the 2018 bear market came in, it really stopped right there on top of the 200-week moving average. We'll kind of zoom out on this just a little bit, and we'll throw on the other moving averages as well. We can see that we do have these 50-week moving average really coming up right in there throughout previous bull runs, there was never a break of the 50-week moving average unless if we were in a bear market. But even when we did get down to the 50-week moving average, it did provide support and it did bounce off the 50-week moving average for at least retracements. We can kind of zoom in on that and see, would it take out this level over here if this 50-week moving average ended up getting hit, and it would not take it out. You see that the moving average has had enough time now over these last few weeks to scoot itself back up in there to where if it does come down and hit the moving average, well, we're not going to be taking out this level. Mix in the fact that we have prolonged extreme fear as we're approaching this, it's a positive sign. And again, for the people who are new to this market, not understanding why extreme fear is a positive sign that bottoms are coming in, it's because people don't get extremely fearful when prices are high when they're the most dangerous. People get extremely fearful when prices are pulled back and oversold, and the market needs some relief. People get to a point to where they just can't take it anymore. So while the market is in extreme pain and extreme fear, I still stand by the belief that we're going to see some relief coming out of here pretty soon, and it'll shift the sentiment quite well until we go back into a little bit more of a prolonged accumulation again, just like we've seen happens. So patience is the key. And like they say, right? Markets are a mechanism of transferring wealth between the impatient to the patient. And I always stick with that motto of be greedy when others are fearful and be fearful when others are greedy. And you can kind of live in this moment right now and reflect on that of what it was like when people were super greedy. And I talk a lot about keeping something called an emotional log where you can really kind of track what you were feeling. And it's been a little while since I've talked about that, but this is a good opportunity to bring it up when we go into these extreme moments of emotional shift in the market to really document exactly how you're feeling at particular moments, because that's what has helped me learn how to keep my emotions completely in check, is recognizing when were those times that I was super scared, keeping a log of it, writing the date on it, letting it all out on the table, how I'm truly feeling. And then I come back to that in a couple of months and I look at it and I look at the price chart and I say, how was I feeling at whatever time that was? Was that actually a really golden opportunity, or was my feeling right in line with what it should have been? And I learned over time that every time I was really excited and really euphoric and happy and wanting more, ended up being right near tops. And every time I was extremely scared and extremely fearful and worried and thinking about throwing in the towel, it always ended up being right near bottoms. And I learned that years ago. And on that note, I actually just pulled up my emotional log from back in November and December of 2018. And man, that was a different time than what we're experiencing right now. Things were really, really, really bad back then. Holy cow. I'm reading through this thing and seeing how it's like some stuff was down 95% and I was buying it, and it was that same utter feeling of absolute terror in the market that this was just some big Ponzi scheme and that this was never going to go to anything and that it was just going to keep crashing and crashing and crashing. And boy, it feels weird to actually read through all of this right now. But the thing that I was doing in my emotional log is I was talking about how I was a buyer at that time. I'm like, I can't believe I'm still throwing money at this. I can't believe I'm putting money down in here. I can't believe I'm buying these altcoins. I feel really, really dumb that I'm doing this right now. And back in that time, that's when we were in that extreme fear down in there. It didn't feel good. I can see on December 6th, I wrote in here, man, this is so terrible. I hate this. I am really so frustrated about this market on December 6th. On December 3rd, I wrote that I was buying Bitcoin. I said, I am really fearful with this Bitcoin buy. I see Bitcoin could seriously go down to like 3,000 or 2,000 or even 1,300. So a buy at 3,800 could be stupid, but there is also the potential that this holds. Who knows? Buy into fear, right? Ugh. And for those who remember who are in the XRP community, that was the same time period where that Don't Stop Me Now song was floating around with Bearable Guy 123. That was right there in the midst of capitulation of Bitcoin. So for all those who have been around in this market for a long time, if you guys remember how Queen's Don't Stop Me Now was floating around hardcore in our community, that was right in the capitulation of Bitcoin. And surprisingly enough, that actually helped me get through that day. I'm reading it right now. It says the song Don't Stop Me Now by Queen is floating around a lot in the crypto universe this week. It has me kind of pumped up to handle this week. Yeah, I'm a rocket ship on my way to Mars. And then in parentheses, I wrote, only thing is the rocket ship doesn't seem to want to be lifting off and it's going straight into the ground. LOL, FML. But that's what it's like, man. It's never fun when we're in these extreme fear moments. But as we get through these next few days, my fingers are crossed that we do what we've seen happen in these situations and that we do recover out of here and we do provide some relief. And we can all please be taken out of this pain for just a moment. But that's really what I'm looking for over here is that, hey, you know what? We've shown similarities here. We've shown that these structures look like this. Inverse chart of Bitcoin shows us that this level holds right in here and that we do set one new high. And it's when we flip the Bitcoin chart over to the inverse style and we just talk about the crashing structure, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, rolling back up into 4. And you know what? We're just kind of dancing around in here right now. So I'm not going to panic about any type of moves. We know that that 50-week moving average is going to come in there and potentially save the day right in there as we're in this area right in here, looking for one more push in Bitcoin. And since we're in the inverse, we're looking at it upside down, essentially showing a line going down, which would mean that Bitcoin's price would actually rise more and that this would be our big grand finale of crypto where the altcoins really go surging. The Bitcoin dominance gives us our big fall down, moving those altcoins up way higher as Bitcoin sets its last high for this market cycle. And right, that's just my opinion. That's as high as it's going to go, right? A lot of people out there predicting 100,000, right? All those politicians down there in South America, laser eyes till 100,000, right? You got the $300,000 stock to flow model, right? And, you know, me personally, I'm just in the camp of, 72, 73,000 is good enough. And you know what? I don't talk about this very often at all, but, I'm a believer that Bitcoin will go on to much, much higher prices as the years pass by. But as for this market cycle, this is as far as I see it going. I think Bitcoin is going to fall back down to, those $13,000, $14,000, $15,000 price levels. But as it's somebody who just goes based off charts, well, what it tells me after that is that we go on to a new cycle and that $300,000 isn't unrealistic. I just don't think it's realistic in this cycle. And that's just my personal opinion, right? Not a financial advisor or an investment advisor. I'm a guy on YouTube. And that's my opinion. But I do think that 300,000 is possible, just not in this market cycle. And we may have to wait, 5 or 10 years for something like that to happen. But otherwise, I'm focused on the here and the now. And the here and the now doesn't necessarily mean what's happening here in the next hour or in the next day, but what's happening in this cycle, what's happening in 2021. And these are the things that I'm looking for. Bitcoin to set one new high with a total market cap of all of crypto, giving us one big grand finale to the upside. And for all of those lagging behind altcoins to get their opportunities to shine, including my number one holding, XRP, getting up in there into new all-time highs. But we've just got to get through this tough moment right here, right now. And if Bitcoin does hit that 50-week moving average that sits there at about 29,270, just so you kind of have that number in the back of your head, that's where that 50-week moving average is at, 29,270. But hopefully, when we come back tomorrow, we'll have some type of relief happening over here on the board, and we can kind of celebrate that. But if not, then we just keep plowing forward. But all right, guys, I hope that you're doing okay. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like, of course, you could check out my website. It's bcbacker.com. This is my course where I deep dive into the previous Bitcoin bull runs and the different altcoin market cycles, tying them all together to show how alt seasons have worked in the past with Bitcoin. I teach you how to set up your own charts and indicators in TradingView and CoinTrader Pro if you're wanting to learn how to set up your own charts and look at those. I talk about mathematics and percentages, my personal exit plans. I also included a monthly update down in here just a few days ago on May 31st, right down in there, available to everybody enrolled in the course and those who newly enroll. But you could check out this course over here on bcbacker.com. You can follow me over here on Twitter at bcbacker. And thank you to King Solomon at XRP_owl for the humor for the day. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.